Okay, it's working. Good morning, kids. Good morning, church. Okay, that's cool. Okay, kids, who can remind me? Can anyone remind me who preached last Sunday for you guys? Any of you? Yes. Erik. And what did he talk about? Yes. Yes, he talked about honesty, to tell the truth. So before I start my main point, I want, I don't know, I think 10 volunteers. Anyone want to come up here and volunteer for me? Guys, come on, please. Just come up here and I'll explain everything. Guys, I know you all have a lot of energy. It's the middle of the day. Come on, I see you smiling and laughing. Come up here. If any kids from the back want to come, they can too. Yes, good. 1, 2. Come on, guys. It's not embarrassing, I promise. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See? Once one person comes, they all like to come. Okay, good. If you want to come up, you can come up still. Okay. Can you guys tell me what this is? How many of you know how to make one? Okay, good. Some of you guys don't, which is cool. I'm going to give you all a piece of paper, and if you know how to make one, you can make one. However, at the same time, I will show you how to make this. So each one of you can get a paper. You can get a paper, and you can get a paper. Okay. Oh. Here you go. If you want to hand them out, I'll pass them out to each other. Okay, does everyone have a paper? Okay. Now, everyone who doesn't know how to make a paper airplane, come here. Oh, you don't have a paper. Oh, sorry about that. Everyone who doesn't know how to make a paper airplane, come here. I will show you guys how I made this by taking it apart. Hopefully I can still remember how to put it back. So, you see this paper. You have your paper. Folded in, it's a little bit folded. Fold this piece of paper in half, like this. Good? Okay, I can see most of you have it. Now open it. This is just so it helps you. Now, put these two corners in so that they move into the middle, so that they line up in the middle over here. No, the top two. Yes, he's right. These top two like this. You're supposed to open it up, and the top two corners into the middle. Like this, see? Okay. Now once you guys have that, now a little bit lower, not where it meets, but a little bit lower, you want to fold that down. So like this, you see how they meet over here, just like half an inch or an inch? Yes, fold it down. Now this is the part that I have to remember. Yes, okay. You guys got that about? It's okay if it's, good job. Now fold in the two corners the other two corners, like this. So now you're supposed to have like a little box, and now move the two corners in like this. And now you will have a little flap, and close that. And then fold it in half, and then fold this in half, and then put the wings down. Like, just put it down anyway, that makes it comfortable. This is the first Uber lesson, by the way. So yeah, Some of you haven't. I can see some of you may have gotten lost along the way, but in the end, we all have a piece of paper. Now, those of you who made it, if you guys want to throw it at your friends real quick, you can do that one time. But the rest of the time, it has to stay in your hand. Okay, ready? Those who have a paper airplane. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, close your eyes. Okay, now get your paper airplanes and go sit down. Oh. Okay. So, idę сюда. Кидай. Добро. Молодец. Okay. So, some of you may have just learned how to make a paper airplane. Some of you already knew how, but I showed you the method that I was actually taught this morning. I had no clue how to make a paper airplane before this morning. So, onto the topic. How many of you want to be smart? I should see a lot more hands, guys. How many of you want to be smart? Yes, good, exactly. So how do you get smart? Yes. You learn. Yes. Read books. Yes. When you drive? Try, yes. When you try, you learn more when you try to learn. So those are all very good answers. I just kind of summed it up in one word, education, which is basically just you learning is essentially what education means. So I'll be talking about education. I remember whenever I hear the word education, usually the thing that goes into my mind is school. I always think, oh, if I'm going to be educated or learn, I'm going to school. But that's not always the case. It is the case a lot of the time, however, some of the time it's not. And I'm going to talk about 3 main times that we learn, 3 main ways we learn. We can be taught, like by a pastor or by a teacher. They explain something to us and then we understand it. Or we can teach ourselves. So where, like, say, you read the Bible and it says, do not lie. Basically, you read it and then you understand by yourself, oh, what does it mean not to lie or to be honest? Which means not to, to tell the truth. And then finally, we learn from our mistakes, hopefully. So when we make a mistake, we learn not to do the same thing over. So I'm just going to start, with a quick tip, something that I learned in school, kind of going along what he said to try. When I went to school, to elementary school, I did not like it. I hated waking up in the morning. I had to, go to school, and then I had to sit there while a teacher talks for 7 hours with only like a 30-minute break. That was terrible for me. However, I learned eventually that once I started to want to go to school, like once I understood, hey, I'm actually getting smarter from this, and I have friends at school, and if I'm home, then I'm going to be cleaning, so I'd rather be at school with my friends rather than home cleaning. So I understood that, hey, I'd rather go to school, and then I understood once I wanted to go to school that I all of a sudden started learning way more. So if you guys can, find it in your hearts to please enjoy going to school, you will learn much more. But onto the topic of education, of learning and being taught, the way when we're being taught is that person already has the knowledge or they've already been taught the thing that they are teaching you. And they are just explaining it to you the way that they know it. So say a pastor is up here talking about honesty or something, and they say to be honest, you tell the truth. And from that, you can understand that, oh, being honest is telling the truth. The Bible has a verse, it's Proverbs 1:7. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Despise is basically they don't like it. They hate it is essentially. It's a very strong word for not liking. So essentially what this is saying is if we want to be smart or if we want to be with God, we will listen to instructions. So when an older person, say we are running around screaming and church is going on, and if they tell us, please be quiet, they're instructing us to be, nice, to not be, to not disrupt church. And also, a lot of the times, they will teach us things that are important for life. I remember when I was a kid, my mom had cooked something, and the stove was still hot because it uses a fire. Obviously, it's hot, but I wanted to touch it for some reason. I don't know why. My mom told me not to touch the stove. It's just like smart, common sense. And I touched the stove anyway, and I didn't listen to her instructions. I got burnt, and I got hurt. If I'd listened to her instructions, I would not have gotten burnt, and I would not have gotten hurt. So we should listen to people when they talk to us, like teachers, because they are giving us important things that we need to know for our lives. So the second part is us teaching ourselves. Sometimes there isn't someone to teach us something, or there are just things that you have to learn by yourself by just practicing it, like professional soccer players or something like that. They can be taught how to kick a ball normally, or how to do, score a goal or something like that. But unless they practice it or teach themselves how hard to kick, or the right way, just constantly kicking it correctly, they're not gonna do too well. So they have to practice it a lot and teach themselves how to do it. For an example, for me, I taught myself how to cook. Because sometimes, I would wake up in the morning and I'd want eggs or something. So I taught myself to make eggs or cookies or something. So the way I did it is I went online and I learned how to make them. Of course, in the beginning, it did not turn out well. I can guarantee you that. I tried to just make an egg on the pan or skillet, and it turned out to be scrambled eggs somehow when I just wanted to make a flat egg. So that was not successful. However, after time, I learned how to make normal eggs. I taught myself how to cook, and because of that, now I can actually just make myself food if I want. Teaching yourself, the thing with teaching yourself is it's harder to do than when you're taught. Because when you are taught, when someone else teaches you, that means they already know how to explain it. But when you're teaching yourself, you have to learn yourself how to, you need to practice it a lot until you understand why something happens, like 2 plus 2. When you're a little kid, you don't know what 2 plus 2 is. For all you know, it could be 5. But when you think about it, 2 plus 2, you put that together, it's 4. But right now, automatically, it goes into your head. But before, it didn't. So it took practice to just automatically get things. I know people who can do multiplication like that. If you tell them 8 times 7 is 56, then right now, you guys probably couldn't think of that. But I'm probably wrong too. But some people can just do it like that, just from learning. So a lot of the times when we teach ourselves, there are basic things that we grow on. Say for cooking, I had to go online to learn how to cook. However, I taught myself with the practice. And I just want to ask you guys something. How many of you read the Bible? Okay, good. Some hands. It's very important to read the Bible because there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that it would just take too long for you to go to church and the pastor to just explain everything, because there's a lot of stuff that we have to do. So we need to read the Bible to understand, more about God and to understand what he wants from us. And when we're reading the Bible and, no one's explaining it to us, sometimes we have to teach ourselves what some things mean. So it's very important to read the Bible. And there's a verse in Philippians 4:9. Philippians 4:9 says, "Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." So when you read the Bible, you're supposed to take what it says, and you're supposed to teach yourself to do that. Like when the Bible says to be honest, you have to understand, that means don't lie and always tell the truth. So you have to teach yourself that sometimes, and other things like that. So for my last point, it's mistakes. Hopefully we all learn from mistakes, because we all for sure make mistakes. You make mistakes, your parents make mistakes. Like if you are holding a pen and it falls out of your hand in class, that's technically a mistake. However, hopefully we learn from it. The Bible says, for the righteous, in Proverbs 24:16, Proverbs 24:16 says, "For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity. Calamity is just like when something's not going right, when something is bad. So the wicked person does not get up, say, like, if their car doesn't start in the morning, they're just going to give up and stay home, kind of a thing. But it says the righteous falls 7 times and rises up again. So when we make a mistake or something bad happens, we're not supposed to give up. We're supposed to keep going, and we're supposed to learn that we're supposed to keep going. A very important guy once said, Winston Churchill, he said, "All men make mistakes, but only wise men learn from their mistakes." So what's it called again? So if you make a mistake, yeah, it's bad. You know, it's kind of not fun that you've made a mistake. However, if you learn from your mistake, you're more likely to not make a bigger mistake later. These small mistakes, they only affect your life a little bit at the time. However, a lot of the time later, these mistakes, you will learn a very important thing from them, and it won't affect you as much. Like, say, a speeding ticket. If you're driving fast and a cop pulls you over and gives you a speeding ticket, if you just say, "Oh, the cop is just being mean today," or something like that, that's not the right way. If you make a mistake of speeding, you are supposed to think, "Hey," or some other mistake like that, you're supposed to think, "Hey, what did I do wrong? Oh, I was driving at a fast speed that was dangerous. Oh, if I stop driving dangerously, then I'm less likely to hurt someone, and I'm less likely to get another ticket." So you are likely, hopefully, after getting a ticket, you will slow down, and then are less likely to cause an accident and then hurt someone. So hopefully, whenever we make a mistake, we understand that we're supposed to just fix what we did and try to not do it again, so we live better lives. There's a story about Hershey's. Do you guys know what Hershey's are, right? The chocolate company, you know, where they sell chocolate. Whenever you make s'mores or something, you use chocolate. You guys know what Hershey's are. Hershey's, Milton Hershey is the name of the guy who started it. He started it over in Hershey, Pennsylvania, I believe. I know he started in Pennsylvania. He had started with caramel. He started making caramel into, you know, little cubes, and he tried to sell them. However, he wasn't making much money. He was failing, and he had to give up on. He was just giving up because he wasn't being successful. And then a friend once told him, "Hey, what if you made chocolate instead?" So he made chocolate, and all of a sudden, now his company is a multi-million-dollar company. So he learned that he shouldn't have just stayed with his one thing. So now he started to make candy bars. He started to make like a bunch of different things. His company makes many products and is a multi-million-dollar company. And so he learned from the mistake of sticking to one small thing that wasn't working out. He learned not to give up, and he just kept going and made something else. So why is this important, like, say, to learn? Well, we're supposed to have a relationship with God. All of us, hopefully, will try to have a relationship with God and maintain that relationship with God. However, you need to know about him. How many of you have a good friend? A good friend, like a best friend? I hope to see a lot of hands, or just hopefully you're not paying attention. Hopefully you all have friends. What's it called again? How many of you know your friend well? That's good. Say like it's their birthday, or you know what kind of clothing they like, or the toy. Well, if you know a lot about your friend, you want to have a good relationship with your friend, you're going to know a lot about them. So imagine that with God. If you're trying to have a good relationship with God, you should probably know about him. You should probably know just what he wants from us, what he doesn't, and all that stuff. So if we want to have a good relationship with God, we're also supposed to learn about him. So in conclusion, there are the 3 ways that we mainly learn: being taught, we learn from teaching ourselves, and we learn from our mistakes. And hopefully we can all, understand these ways to learn, so that we can also learn about God and have good lives. And on that, we're going to pray, and I would like to have the first 2 rows of kids pray. Amen.